People are starting to join. Hey everybody! I am going to be talking today to one of my colleagues who I just adore, Melaskin Studio. Here she comes. Just give me 1 second. Also, let me know, you guys, if you can hear me. Hey!
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing good. Can you hear me well? Because I have in my
I
AirPods.
hear you perfect. Can you hear me? Because I have the same going on.
Okay. Okay, I can hear you perfectly, perfectly.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see your face.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to see your face
It's
too.
been,
You look all glowy.
thank you. I haven't had a facial in 4 months, so.
Girl, me too. I'm hanging on by a thread.
So before we start, I'm going to just name our live session, just so that people know your handle. Um, Mela
Yes.
Skin Studio and
Hmm.
at Joanna Vargas NYC. Sorry, it's so awkward to have to,
No, I trust me.
but if we don't pin it, then no one's gonna know what's going on.
Gonna know. No. Perfect.
Come on, man. There we go. Okay. Phew. Okay, we did it. Um, Thank you so much for coming on. I've been really excited to talk to you, mostly because we never get to hang out in life, and
I know.
I haven't seen you since my book launch in February, right? That was the last
Yeah,
time we saw
it's
each other.
been that long. That's
I
crazy that
know,
that was like, it feels like just yesterday, but like the months flew by.
I know. It's crazy. So for those of you just joining me, I'm Joanna Vargas, and this is Lakeisha, owner
Hi, everybody.
extraordinaire of Melaskin Studio. Lakeisha, I just thought we should start off by talking about when we first met in
Hmm.
person. So, like,
So,
Lakeisha and I were at it was a Dior event, right? It was for Dior skincare.
yeah,
We were all invited for sort of a professional first look at their new skincare line or their relaunch of their
yes.
skincare line. And for my part, I have known about Lakeisha for a while just because
Hmm.
I admired always what you were doing on your social, which is how you kind of know anybody in this business anymore. You know, it's not like we all get together and have the opportunity to meet socially usually. But anyways, at this event, um, we bumped into each other. Lakeisha's frozen. Shoot. Hopefully, um, she's going to rejoin you guys. Anyway, I met Lakeisha at a Dior skincare event, and I made a beeline for her afterward because I just think she's really smart. She really knows what she's doing, and you know, when you admire somebody, it's good to go up to them and say hello because you it's a great opportunity to connect with other people doing what you do or doing things that you admire. So hopefully she'll come back on in a sec. Um, Lakeisha is an esthetician, so she has her own aesthetic studio, and she is also a makeup artist, I believe. She can correct me when she comes back. Um, but she does makeup, she does skincare, and anyway, and I just think that she's one of those people that stands out to me. Um, Owning your own business is not for everybody. It's certainly very, very challenging, and I think that she is one of those people that was destined to have their own company. So that's what I admire about her. Here she comes. Hopefully we won't have problems. You're
I'm
back.
back. I'm back.
Okay. Anyway, I was just like, anyway, we met at this Dior event, and I was saying that I saw you after the talk was over, and I made a beeline for you because I knew who you were, and I wanted to introduce myself. Um, and I think it's important when you have those opportunities to meet people that you should go up to them and be like, hey, you don't know me, but I really like you, or I really like what you're doing. And that's kind of what I did. Shoot, are you there? Can you hear me? Okay, there you are. Okay. All right.
Things, all the great things you're saying about me. I'm like, why is my phone freezing? It's so funny that when you were hoping you would be here, I was like, what is she talking about? She was hoping I would be here. Like, I know who she is, but I didn't know she knew who I was. So it's like you never know who's like watching your work and paying attention to you. You know what I'm saying? So it
Exactly.
was,
Exactly.
and you were someone who, like anyone who is very close to me and were the first few group of people that knew that I was even thinking about starting a business, I've always used you as an inspiration because I've always admired like how you took something that I feel that when people hear you're a makeup artist or a hairstylist, you're an esthetician, they don't think that you can create a legacy and an empire for yourself doing such. And I watching what you did with your company and your techniques, I've always said like, I'm gonna do it. I want to aim high like she did. You know
That
what I'm
makes me
saying?
so
So,
happy. It makes me so happy. I mean,
so
absolutely, go big or go home, right?
exactly. If you're gonna do it all the way.
Yeah. So yeah, of course I knew who you were, and I knew that you had been invited because I know people. So, you were on Dior's list, so you have other admirers. Just so you know, I'm not saying that I had nothing to do with it. The Dior team recognized your work, saw that you were somebody important in the business, and invited you. And I was like, oh, great, I'm going over there. You know?
And it felt nice to be embraced by another colleague because you never really know at those events like are people gonna mingle or they're just like here I came I saw it and I left. So it was nice to like like you never really know. And I'm a girl's girl. I'm like I love people. I love talking to people and getting to know breaking down the whole like the people put you in this bubble of like fame and celebrity. And it's like, no, like I want to talk to the person. Like I want to get to know the person because you're
Yeah,
people. So it
yeah,
was just, I really, really appreciated how you embraced me. I feel like I told you that like a million times, but I really, really appreciate like how you embraced me. And just we were able to just connect. Like it was
yeah.
so refreshing.
It felt like we had known each other already for forever.
Yes.
And then you came to my party and you met some of the rest of my team. And I feel like other people on my team also felt the same way, like that girl's amazing. So you have
Oh,
like
thank you.
that quality. And just so people watching know, like for me, I have never looked at any other person in the industry as my competition. Um,
Hmm.
for me, the only person I compete with is myself.
That's right.
And I have to turn inward if I mess something up or if something doesn't work out. I can't be like, if Lakeisha hadn't opened her business, blah blah blah. That would be insane, right?
It would be insane. And it's crazy that there are people that think like that.
There are
And
people
it's
that
like,
think like that.
no,
There are
like
people that think like that.
you are your own competition. You have to prove it to yourself before you try and prove it to anybody else.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I get, and it pays off. It shows because people they pay attention. I always tell people you never know who's paying attention to you. You never know who is cheering for you behind closed doors
yep.
and speaking your name in rooms that you are unaware of. So just focus and do the work. And if you're passionate about it, it will show.
Absolutely. I mean, and I think that that's sort of the cornerstone for me as a trainer or as a teacher or a leader of my group, I try to tell people like you win clients over by doing your best work on that face.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to do with like, because I have worked in studios and salons where everybody felt like it was a competition between them. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you've ever had that experience, but it can be ugly. Like, when you
Yeah.
feel like your coworkers are maybe not saying nice things about the facial that you gave in order to raise their own game.
Or
And
or asking like, how does she do this? And how is she getting this? And how is she getting that? And it's like, because I give my all, I'm not thinking about,
yeah,
and this is just me personally. I've always did my best when you can't lead with money,
yeah.
right? You can't lead about, if you're always thinking about the money, you're missing so many big moments that you
Listen
can
to this
have
point, you guys.
with your
Listen to
client.
this.
Like if
Yes.
you're always thinking about, okay, I need to make money on it and I can make so much money if I do this. No, people remember how you make them feel. And
Yeah.
that's what keeps them coming back.
Yeah.
And that's what makes you a successful business. The money is going to come. It's going
Yep.
to come regardless because
Yep.
you are creating an experience that another person cannot recreate.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And to that point, focus on giving a good facial. Don't focus on what so and so is doing or what machine she has, because a lot of people want to ask me, like, well, what's that machine? I can
Mm-hmm.
tell you all my machines. You could take it
Mm-hmm.
home and it's not going to be the same because
Mm-hmm.
that's not what makes me me. Do you know what I mean? What makes me me
Exactly.
is the love, the care, the response that I give the client. And really that's how I started the company, is just like one facial at a time. I needed to make sure that when you left my hands that you were like, that was so good. I got to tell my best girlfriend. I got to tell
Yes.
my mom. I got to tell my sister,
Yes.
what have you.
People ask me all the time, like, how are you getting your clients? And I'm like, honestly, I haven't handed out a business card in over a year because it's literally people just like, as soon as they're done, I cannot wait to tell my mom. I cannot wait to tell my
Yep.
best friend. I cannot wait to tell so and so. That's how I get clients because I gave them that experience tailored to them and
Yep.
they were just blown away, or they may have had some sort of expectation and I exceeded that, or they
Yeah.
had no expectation and they're just like, listen, I never would have thought this is how I would have felt, or and they want to embrace you because it's just like, wow, like I had such a great experience, and it's such a personal experience, like you're sharing
Yes.
energy with someone and
Yes.
you're taking away, like it's not just a facial. We deal with so much every single day and we
Yes.
carry so much tension in our face and our bodies and we don't take time for ourselves, especially in today's world. It's all about go, go, go. And
Yep.
when they get that 45-minute, 60-minute, 90-minute, whatever, to just let it all go, to do that for someone, that's a big privilege to have, to be able to do that for someone. And they don't
Absolutely.
forget that. So they look forward to it every single time. And
Yeah.
that's how I get my clients.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's so well said. I 100% agree. That's how I built the business. And that's what keeps me inspired. That's what keeps me going. That's what I love about doing facials every day still. It's
Yeah.
something that I'm just truly passionate about, figuring that out. Like a client coming with a concern, digging in
Mhm.
there, figuring it out, and
Mhm.
giving her something better in return.
Yeah.
Um,
And
how did,
listening to them.
yeah, yeah.
And listening to
Um,
them because people sometimes don't get someone that's just going to listen to their needs and try
mhm,
to, do that
yeah.
for them. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there.
I mean, it's a key point. I always ask my estheticians in my salon to ask, what inspired you to come in, or what is your goal for today's facial? Because no matter what, they have something in their minds that they want to
Mhm.
get out of the experience, and you want to make sure you check that box. You could check
Yes,
off other boxes too, but you better address that one thing that they came to you for?
that is very true. That is
So,
very true.
I wanted to ask, so how did you start your business? Let's kind of dial it back a little bit because I kind of want to hear origin story?
So my business, it the way it started, it was a weird time for me. I was dealing with a lot personally. I'm married, and it was just like a lot of things happening personally all at once. And at the same time, I was trying to figure out, okay, I feel like I need to go in another direction. And when it came, and I'm going to be very transparent. When it came to establishing my business, I just was in my head about like, am I really ready? Is this really what I want to do? I was working. I was
Mm-hmm.
still working and practicing. I was working for another company, but I kept getting clients. I was just like, I really think you would do well if you did your own thing. And it just kept being repeated. And then I was getting like, press opportunities, but skincare related press opportunities, because I started in the beauty industry as a makeup artist. And I've been doing that since 2012. And so, originally I'm like, should I still focus on makeup? Should I really dive into this new career that I really am like, I'm still learning so much, and it's so new that it scares me to like take that big leap of I'm going to start a business.
Yeah.
And I said, one day I sat down, I was like, okay, if I'm going to do this, why am I doing it? And what type of space do I want to create? So I had to figure out my why first before I said yes to it. And once I figured out my why, and it was kind of already there for me, because I was getting a lot of clients that would say, and a lot of like Black women or women of color that would say to me like, I don't know many Black estheticians. And I'm like, really? How? Like, why? I don't understand. Like, why aren't we known? But like everyone who is known, you got to put yourself out there. Not saying that those who are practicing aren't putting themselves out there,
You're
but
not, yeah,
you got to put
absolutely.
yourself out there. So I said, okay, if I'm going to do it, right, I got to aim high. I got to think of the end, right? Think of the end in mind and then work my way backwards. And I just slowly started like taking the necessary steps. I went and, met up with someone who structured my business for me. Then I started looking into insurance. Like I just started doing all the little things. And then the name came to me one day. And I texted my best friend as soon as it came to me. And I sent it to her. And I was like, Melaskin Studio. And she was like, what is this? This sounds good. I'm like, that's the name of my business. And she's like, oh my God, I love it. I'm like, you sure it doesn't sound silly? She was like, no, it's not silly. Like, this sounds perfect. Like, this sounds like you. And I dreamt it up. I dreamt about what it would look like to see it grow. And then, okay, what does it look like for me to like set the foundation? And in the midst of everything that I was going through, I said, this is, as much as this is for a space that I'm creating for others, this is my baby. So let me
Yeah.
nurture this. Let me do this. Let me put my all in, no matter how hard it feels, no matter how many days I'm crying. It doesn't matter. Do the work. And I did it. And I was so nervous to share that my business was ready to like take clients. And when I finally launched last November 4th, 2019, I was like sitting there, I'm like palms sweaty, and I'm talking to my best friend. I'm like, I'm gonna post it, and I'm really nervous. And she was like, why are you nervous? Do it right now. And I'm like, okay. And I did it, and the response was insane. Like people were booking. I was booked out for November as soon as I
Yep.
posted it. And I started in my home, and actually in the room that I'm sitting in right now. I started in my home, and even though I was in my head, I'm like, listen, I know this is my home, but I want them to forget that they're in my home and think they're in
Yep.
a completely different space when they're here.
Yeah.
And people would forget that they were in my home. And I was like, even though they're in my home, I want them to feel welcome. I want it to feel cozy. And I just want it to feel like another home for them.
Yeah.
And when I moved into my studio in Midtown, I felt the same thing. I'm like, even though I'm in this like commercial building, I want them to come in. I want them to feel relaxed. I want them to feel like I'm inviting them into my home,
Yep.
and they get to take their shoes off and they get to unwind. And it's been such a journey. It's been scary. I've been figuring things out on my own because I didn't necessarily have someone as a mentor within this specific industry to say, okay, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
I paid attention.
Yep.
And I figured it out. You know, I
Yeah.
know people are like, what do you mean you figured it out? You just do. You figured it out. If you want it that bad, you'll just
Yeah.
figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did. And I had the support of so many people, friends, family, friends, like people that I've met on here, like people that are like, you know, making their own waves in the beauty industry. And they're just like, listen, girl, do it. Like, we got
Yeah.
you. We will support you. Just keep
Yeah.
going. It's going to happen. I can already see it. People were speaking the success of my business into existence before I did.
Yeah.
And it's been such a journey, and I'm so happy to have found my voice because I didn't want to just be another studio. I want to make an impact on my clients, but also make an impact within the industry
Yeah.
and use my voice and not be afraid. Because if I'm passionate about something and I want to, you know, see a change, I have to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I have to talk about it. So just surrounding myself with people who have, like, you know, similar thoughts, or, you know, who is passionate about the same things, is just really important to me. And it's been just like a great ride, and I haven't even been open a full year yet.
Yeah.
Like, it's been such a great ride, like, to just create something, to write it on paper, and then to see it like real. Like,
Yeah.
it's, I don't always like take the time to acknowledge that, because when you're in the work and you're doing it, you're just kind of working and going. But it was literally just an idea on paper,
Yeah. I mean,
and now it's my business.
I will say one thing for the people who are watching, that one thing that Caesar and I, my husband and I started my business together. You know, he's my CEO. He runs the company. We every year on New Year's Eve,
Mm-hmm.
we you know, from the beginning, at the beginning, and when we started the company, we wrote down our goals
Mm-hmm.
of what we wanted to create. And this is when we were in a 300 square foot space with paper thin walls, and it wasn't very nice, but we made it
Mm-hmm.
nice and we made it cozy and comfortable. And every year since we first started the company, and so let's see, my son just turned 15, so we've been in business now for 14 years.
Wow.
Um, thank you. We go back through the goals that we made for the year, and we
Mm-hmm.
really take the time to acknowledge ourselves for things that we've achieved.
Mm-hmm.
We say, okay, good job. We did that. We did that. And then we
Mm-hmm.
make new goals for every year. And we have done that every year we've been in business. And so writing it down is a real thing. I can tell you
Yeah.
that. And you starting off like that and using the support of your peers, of your family, of everybody around you who believed in you. I mean, I say it all the time. Half the things that I've done, my husband boosted me up and was like, I believe in you. I know you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you need somebody external to just tell you, give you like that push off the ledge, or before you fall into the deep end of the pool.
Yes. My
um,
husband did that for me. My husband did that for me. He, especially with moving into the space in Midtown, that was like
it's
a
big.
big thing for
It's
me.
big.
And he was like, you can do it. Like, I see the amount of clients that you're seeing, because it was in my home, I had to share my
Yeah.
calendar. So he knew, like, can I come home right now? You know what I'm saying? And he was
Yep.
like, I see the clients and they're coming and they're coming. He's, honestly, I think you would be perfectly fine in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay. And when I went and the guy showed me the space, I the room was like crazy. There was stuff all over the place. Like, they
Yeah.
weren't even finished plastering the wall. And I was like, I can see it. I was like, this is my space.
That's
This is
awesome.
my space. And I'm like, if he says the number in my head, I'm taking it. And he did, and was open for negotiation. I
That's
was just like,
amazing.
I was like, I have to take this. I
That's
can't,
awesome.
I'm gonna miss this. I'm not gonna get another opportunity like this. And I just was like,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna think about it. I'm just gonna do it.
I'll tell you that that's happened to me with so we've been in one, two, three. The space that you saw for my book party is actually our fourth
Really?
space. Yes. We've never not been in that building, but
Hmm.
we started out in a 300 square foot space with 2 tiny rooms. Then we moved to another space that had 3 rooms. And then we moved
Mhm.
to another space that had 6 rooms. And now we have this one. But every time we've looked at a space,
Mhm.
I have always been like, this is our space, but also I haven't been wanting to pay more rent. And so I know.
You
I
gotta
know.
negotiate. You gotta negotiate.
But that's what Caesar's for. I'm just like, I can't even listen to this. I feel like throwing up. I'm just not good at that stuff. I'm it's, strengths and weaknesses for sure. He has
That
strengths that I don't have and vice versa, and we just do it
that
like that.
that's very true. My husband coached me through the negotiating. He was like, open for negotiation. He's like, email him right now, and I want you to say this, 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 and this. And I'm like, okay. And I said, and it worked out. He was like, listen, if they say no, you have to be okay with that no, and be able to have the number in your head that you're okay with if
Yep.
they say no. I'm like, okay.
Yep.
And they said no, but then it was just like the number that they came back with, I was okay with that number anyway. So it worked out.
Yeah.
And so I understand that, like, he has a lot of strength that I do lean into him for when I need it.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of having a partner or some key person in your life, whoever that might be for you. In our case, it's our husbands, but somebody that really can kind of like give you strength in those moments that you're lacking strength. Oh shoot, Lakeisha's buffering a little bit. Um, so I hopefully she'll just come back and okay, she's going to come back in a second. One thing that I did want to address is that I do think it's important for women to support each other, women in business to support each other. And one thing that Lakeisha mentioned, that she didn't have a mentor within the industry guiding her, that was something that I also didn't have. And you know, um, I think it's important in the position that I'm in now to try to help or offer a word of advice or a word of encouragement to anybody that I can, just because it is very, very difficult to be in business. It's hard enough. I say it all the time. It's hard enough to have your own business without also having nobody to answer questions or nobody to kind of look out for you and be like, yes, just do it, um, or no, renegotiate your lease, or whatever the concern is. It's very, very difficult. And often you need to turn to your peers. And I think um, one thing that I struggled with in the beauty industry early on in my career was that it wasn't a place of acceptance. It wasn't a place of, it wasn't a place where you could find a mentor, because it is competitive. The environment was very competitive, and I think it was sort of it felt very cutthroat to me, and it has felt very much like a cutthroat industry on and off throughout my career. And it's something that I don't care for. I don't like to participate in that. Um, Whenever an esthetician reaches out to me on DMs on Instagram, I try to answer them to the best of my ability. Um, Here she is. But I think it's important for us as women to help each other along. So I'm talking right now, my love, I'm glad you're back,
Sorry, my
about,
phone overheated. I'm so sorry.
it's okay.
Hi,
Um,
you
I'm
guys.
I'm talking about the importance of mentorship and mentoring each other, being a lifeline. We touched upon the fact that, we have 2 businesses. We don't consider each other,
Hmm.
competition with each other.
Yeah, no, not
Um,
at all.
and really, for me, throughout my career, I have felt like the beauty industry was needlessly cutthroat and
Girl.
needlessly, like, I didn't have a mentor. I know you just mentioned earlier that you didn't feel like you had one either. And
Hmm.
I felt like, how come why is that a threat? Like, when I take on an esthetician onto my my salon, I want them to know what I know. I want them to be their best. I want them to do their best work because
Mhm.
they are an extension of me, and I don't want to be afraid to give one of my clients to them,
Mhm.
and so really that's my attitude. That I have no secrets. I'm going to train you to the best of my ability, and I feel like that wasn't always the case everywhere I worked. I don't know,
Yeah.
how was that for you? How was coming up in the industry for you?
It was definitely very cutthroat. I can say in both sides of the industry, both being a makeup artist and an esthetician, I never had anyone that was just like, you know what, like I see you and I want to help you win. As a mentor, I've had like other people that respected my work and they're just like, you know what, I'm gonna pass stuff to you because I do love your work. But someone who has like years in the game and sees what you're doing, it's just like, let me help this person. Like, I've made it this far and I know it's not easy. So let me just like look out for this person in any way that I can. And it's not always gonna happen where that person is gonna reach out to you and see you. You do have to do the work and reach out to people.
Yeah.
And they say that your mentor finds you. You don't necessarily like, hey, can you be my mentor? Because it just
Yeah.
may not work.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it's about because at the end of the day, I can't see every woman and man in the world. I can't give every
Yeah.
woman and man in the world a facial. You can't
Yeah.
give every woman and man, like, there's enough of us, enough food for all of us to eat.
Yeah. There's
And
I think during a workday, non 12 million people in Manhattan. I think there might be enough people for us all to have clients.
there is definitely enough people for us to have clients. And like you said, when you mentioned I can tell you all my machines and stuff I have, I can give you the recipe. It doesn't mean that it's going to taste exactly the same because
Yeah.
you're going to put your own spin on it. You're going to make it your own sauce. So I don't understand why like people aren't more open because like if you're someone who you've made it to a certain point in your career. You've established yourself as not only as like an esthetician that has touched many faces, but you've also established a very successful business. That's not an easy thing to do. And a lot of people will tell you there's no specific blueprint. There are certain things that you need to do, yes, but there's no specific blueprint.
Yeah.
Let people know how you did it. I had no problem if
Yeah.
anyone asked me, even being so early into my business, I had no problem with someone asking me, how did I do it? You understand? Because at the end of the day, you still have to have the drive. You have to still wake up and want to
Yep.
do it. You still have to do it yourself. I'm still going to wake up at 7 a.m. every day, do my workout, go through my to-do list. I'm still going to do that. Even if I give you a whole booklet on how to do it, you still have to wake
Yeah.
up and want to do it. So no one should feel afraid to mentor someone because that's how we all win.
Yeah.
I can give you the information and you do what you choose with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's it. You should never be afraid to help someone else out because it's not like you're helping them and then physically like I'm going to put your business together for you. Like no, they have to want to do the work. That's what mentorship is. I'm giving you the tools and you still have to do the work. But I do wish there was more mentorship. I talked about that in the article I did with Pop Sugar. Like I do feel like there needs to be more mentorship because I think when people think of opening their business or starting their facial, like their studio business, they think on a smaller scale, like, I'm just going to take some clients and that's it. It's like, no, do you want to build something for yourself? Because it's possible. Like, you
Yeah.
can make it happen. It's not going to be, you may hit some bumps, but that's with anything. But if you want this, you can have it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Absolutely. I mean, I think, you know, one of the things just to flesh out a little bit, I think it's important to find what's your perspective or what do you have to say? How are you going to create your own voice in your brand or your
mhm,
studio, which you said that you had to find that, and once you found that you had something to say,
mhm,
that's when you go to the creation stage and create your
mhm,
own company. And then moving forward, just having the confidence in your own work that your own work speaks for itself.
yes,
And I can tell people things, and it's not going to do anything to my work or minimize it or take away from it. In fact, I think it makes me stronger.
heck yeah.
You
Like
know,
it makes you stronger. It makes you a better person. And you know, when we have these skills, it's for us, it's our gift to the world. We're supposed to continue to keep giving it. That's how we keep receiving things. And, you know, when I found my voice, and it's a little scary being someone new and feeling like, okay, am I gonna ruffle a few feathers? But I'm passionate about what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about creating a space where Black men and women can come and feel comfortable and feel safe and feel like, okay, I don't have to think about, are they gonna give me a good facial? Do they know how to take care of my skin? I can just come and just have a good experience.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was my purpose, because that's what I was getting a lot. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, oh, I'm so happy that it's you. And it's just like, damn, but I don't understand, like, why does it have to be that way? Because that's the other side of it for me too. Like, I can't be the only space, right?
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna create something, but I can't be the only space, because there's so many other beautiful Black women, men and women across the world, that they should be able to experience having a facial and like taking care of their skin and starting their own skin journey. They should have that just like everybody else. So that's why I speak a lot about like the importance of like every esthetician being well versed on taking care of our skin. And I've had a few estheticians come to me like, you know, thank you for posting. I can acknowledge where I need to do a little bit more work, or, you know, school was so, but, and I'm like, and that's okay. But I have some resources to give you. Here you go. Because I can't do all of this and not provide any form of resource. You
No.
understand? And like, I'm not, you know, I have a long way to go. I've touched a lot of faces, but I still have so much to learn. And I love that I'm, you know, that I can learn so much in this industry every single day. Don't ever stop
Absolutely.
learning. Don't ever feel like because you're at a certain level in your career that you don't need to learn anything new. No, we're changing, we're evolving, the times are changing. I mean, if this pandemic hasn't taught you anything, like the times are changing, things are changing so much, our bodies are changing so much because of the different stresses we take on every day. So be open to learning and be passionate, like stand in your passion, be brave. Sometimes it's scary, but don't be afraid to be brave and just say, look, this is what I stand for, this is what my business represents, and this is what how I want to impact the industry with what I do.
Yeah. I want to go back a little bit to what you said earlier. Um, just so people know, I don't know who's watching, and we're going to post this conversation on IGTV, and then later it'll be on my YouTube channel as well. But I wanted to touch upon just something to be clear to everybody. First of all, aesthetic school is mostly focused on passing the state boards. We have to be
Mhm.
board certified in order to be allowed to touch people's faces, and you get a
Mhm.
license issued by your home state where you're going to practice to, and most of the aesthetic school teaching, yes, you learn how to do a facial,
Yeah.
like steps of a facial, but a lot of what you're learning is bacteriology,
Mhm.
how to not spread things. um, you learn
The
some, you have to
like
memorize muscles and bones.
mu-
Like it's very biological based, in terms of like being clean,
mhm.
and best practices. And
And just
really when you,
knowing the functionality of the skin.
basic function.
Yeah.
So when you get out of school, typically, and this was true for me, and certainly I've seen it over and over again. You won't have given a lot of facials to actual people,
Mhm.
except like random friends of yours that you brought in on
Mhm.
days where you were allowed to bring in clients. And so when you get out of school, there's a bit of a vacuum. Like you almost have to then start learning how to actually treat
Mhm.
different skin types, different skin tones, different skin
Mhm.
conditions. It's all touched upon very briefly in school, but not wholly. So what Lakeisha was just
Mhm.
saying about wanting to create a space where Black men and women would be able to come and feel safe and welcome
Mhm.
and have the
Mhm.
best care. Um,
Mhm.
I just wanted to make clear that the truth of the
Yeah.
matter is that you don't learn enough in school
Mhm.
to, like, I've worked
tried to train people over the course of my career, not just in my own business, but just before in other places that I had worked. People somehow don't know always what to do with people who get melasma, people with darker skin tones, the skin reacting differently to different products based on your skin tone. It's a real thing. And the truth is that, you know, it's part of being a good esthetician is to know how to do it. And nobody who works for me, I mean, they have to be well versed on every aspect of skincare. And many clients don't feel comfortable, like, because they've had bad experiences.
That's all it is. Like, they've had bad experiences. And I definitely believe in taking the initiative outside of school. And then when you're in school and you're in the clinical phase and you can have like models and stuff come in, or they have people who pay, you know, to get a facial or whatever. Listen, if you know that you want to be well versed on all skin, take the initiative to take trainings after school, but also and this is just my opinion. Ask your instructor, hey, can we have like models come in of different skin tone or whatever? You have to speak up because this is your education, right? Like, this is your experience. They are there for you. And don't, when I was in school, I loved asking a bunch of questions, even outside of what we were learning.
I bet you were.
I
bet you were all over it.
Because it was just like, okay, you guys are not only instructors and educators and trainers, you guys been in this industry for a long time. And aside from educating, you guys have worked in this industry. And when I say you guys, I'm talking about the trainers and educators that are in these schools that prepare us for state board and everything. So that's a part of your education, for you to be able to pick their brain and ask as many questions, and they'll answer to the best of their ability. But you have to make sure that you do that work too, because you're not just going to be touching one type of skin tone. You know, you never know who you're going to get. So you got to take that initiative to make sure that you're including everyone, so that no matter who comes through your door, whether you have your own studio or you work for someone, that you're like, I'm ready.
100%. And really over my career, I've had so many instances of people coming in on the day of an event. Or a week that's, you know, the week of their wedding, or a big red carpet or whatever. If you don't know what you're fully doing, you know, can damage somebody with a simple procedure like microdermabrasion. You could damage someone, you could scar people with that. You could mess up their whole face with simply doing a lactic or glycolic acid peel. For me, I remember when I was, my first job was in a spa, and glycolic peels were all the rage during this time because I'm old. And and so they did a peel on me. I never had one before. And two things occurred. The first thing that happened was I broke out in huge cystic acne. And the second thing, I'm Latin, I'm Mexican, and I get a lot of melasma, and I got huge marks all over my face of like really, you know, uneven pigment. That's what melasma is. And it's something very common in Latin people is this uneven pigment issue, and peels. You have to know what you're doing, right? And so the esthetician who did my treatment, she was an esthetician for 30 years. She was like, you just had all of that stuff on the inside, and it's better that it came out. And so she told me that, and I'm fresh out of school. I was like, really? I had all that? She was like, better out than in. It's fleshing it all out. And so she was like, we got to do these once a week now to get it all out of your skin. And so I'm an idiot, right? It takes me a minute. So I let her do it to me again. And the same thing happened. And I was like, holy shit, I'm allergic to glycolic acid. And this woman is telling me that I'm full of acne on the inside and that, you know, that's my problem. But this goes to education of yourself and knowing as a client what you need to be looking for. After that, I have been very careful with how I train people and how I and how I touch people. I mean, that was a person who thought she knew it all, which goes to, like, you know, what Lakeisha was just saying about never stop learning. And she was telling me how bad my skin was, and that's why it was happening. And you know what I mean? Like, she was implying that my skin was dirty and gross and whatever. And that's what was happening. So it's really being educated as a consumer and also being educated as an esthetician. I didn't think it was possible somebody with 30 years experience could be doing something that was bad for me. But that's where you have to, like, use common sense and intuition as a client. And then moving forward, I was like, I am not going to make assumptions about people's skin anymore. And that's really when I became a better esthetician, not assuming something, not assuming that just because you eyeballed someone's face that you know what you're doing, you know?
Yeah. You can't just automatically know everything. Everyone that comes in is so different. Their lifestyles are different. You know, their lifestyle habits are different. They may be sensitive to things that they're not aware of because they just don't do these type of things as far as like facials and stuff often, and they're just starting and they're ready to start their journey. So you have to, I always say, low and slow, and get to know your client and see what works for them. Don't sell them this whole pipe dream like you have a magic wand and after this one peel or this one facial, I know your skin and everything's going to be perfect. Like, let them know that this is a relationship, this is a journey, and you're here to guide them. And just like I said before, you have to be open to always learning. Always.
Absolutely. And know when you don't know something. And really listen to the client. I have one client who's new for me. I'm not going to name her. She's an actress. She came into my salon in LA the night before the Golden Globes for the first time. So never touched her face before in my life. And she was like, I just want you to know that no one touches my face except for my dermatologist, because she is the only person that I felt comfortable that knew how to deal with my skin tone. She was African American, this actress. And then she told me that she doesn't like exfoliation because she gets marks very easily, which is something that is very, very common. You know, when somebody's like, I'm going to exfoliate you, and you can very easily scratch someone's face. So as an esthetician, you have to listen to what your client is saying. If they can't be exfoliated, don't be like, well, I know what I'm doing. And, you know, I just kind of tailored the treatment to what she was telling me and what I knew would be good for her skin. And I got through the appointment. She looked great on the red carpet. She was happy with my work. I was now the second person that's ever touched her face. And it was all good, but it's about using your ears and listening, using your brain, not being a know-it-all, and you know, using your skills to their advantage. It's for them. It's not for you. It's not about your ego. And I think if you approach clients like that, then you'll always do well, you know?
That's very, very, very true. I think if you leave your ego at home, because like you said, you're there to please them, and after all, they know their skin, they're in their body, they see their skin every day. Like, and if they've had certain experiences, listen to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, for both of us, because we both have practices in New York, for us to be successful, we have to be successful with everybody's skin. New Yorkers are very unforgiving, and we're very overt in our feelings. So if you do something we don't like, you're going to hear about it.
You're going to hear about it. and then their friends are going to hear about it. So you need to make sure that
And
you
then you
are
might hear about it again.
exactly like, remember that time you did this? I didn't like that.
Yes, yes,
So,
ma'am.
so listen, it's no joke, but one client at a time, one client at a time, and always just remember why you're doing this, and it will show.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're gonna get kicked off soon, but I wanted to ask, like, where for you now that you've started your own, it's gonna come
Hmm.
up on a year real fast for you.
Hmm.
Um, where do you see your business in, let's say, 5 years from now? Because you've had a great
Woo,
first year, you've been very successful.
thank
Um,
you.
are you imagining products? Are you imagining like, um, yeah, like how do you see yourself driving yourself in the future? Like, where do you see this going?
I definitely see product in the works, and one something specifically. I definitely want to develop my own gua sha stone, because I don't like, people have seen on my page that I do a lot of gua sha, and I really really love the technique. So I would definitely love to create my own stone. But as far as the business as a whole, I definitely a bigger space right now for me, but I want to share it with other estheticians and grow, and one, continue to learn so that I can also train and teach the estheticians that do come to work for me and work for Melaskin Studio. And I just want to create a space that when men and women want to start taking care of their skin, they're like, I need to go to Melaskin Studio. So I just want to continue that to grow that cozy safe space that I've been creating. I would love to continue to be an example for estheticians to come after me, to, and especially for estheticians that look like me, to say, wow, like she did it, like I could do it too. If I really apply myself, I can do this. And just continue to surround myself with women like yourself, and with my peers, and continue to learn from each other and lift each other up in the work that we do, no matter where we are on the spectrum of success. Just continue to support each other. But I see Melaskin Studio is going to be my legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's beautiful. I think you're well on your way. And, you know, I think what, if I could say one thing that has made me successful,
Hmm.
is really always finding the joy in the work.
Hmm.
And if you continue to find the joy in the work, everything will follow you, all the good stuff,
Got
because
it.
that's all there is. And I think you're inspiring for me
Thank
because
you.
you represent as you're kind of like the next generation, right? And for me, I love to see younger, cooler, smart, you know, type A, really badass women in the business. It really makes me happy. It makes me love what I do.
Mhm.
And yeah, yeah, it's
This
really
is
good. It's really good. Before we hang up,
yes.
do you have one book that you like to recommend that people read, or something that inspires you? Like for me at the studio, at my
Hmm.
studio, I have everyone read um, Kimberly Snyder's book, which is she's a nutritionist, and I think she spends a lot of time talking about inside inflammation, internal inflammation, and
Mm.
how that affects the skin. And I find that really important as in terms of aesthetics knowledge on how you
Hmm.
treat the skin and how you go about it. And then like a business book that I really like. Danny Meyer's Setting the Table is a book that
Mm-hmm.
he wrote. He's a chef, and
Mm-hmm.
he wrote a book about how he built his empire by one customer at a time, making one person happy at a time. And those are two of like my big books that I make everybody read, because I think they talk about how to build your business on customer service and focusing on your
Mm-hmm.
clients and making them the most important thing in your business,
Mm-hmm.
and then how to treat the skin and think about the skin in a different way. So is there anything that you like to read or look at or find
There's
inspiring?
there's a book, oh my gosh. It's Healthy Skin Starts with the Gut.
Mm.
By, oh my gosh, I don't want to mess up her name. Dr. Nigma,
Yep.
I think how
Talib.
Tali, yes, that
Mhm.
book is bomb. And then as far as like business, oh my gosh. So oh my gosh, Sophia Girl Boss.
Oh, I've never read that
Sophia,
one.
that's a good one because I don't know it, like if you don't know her story is like super bomb. Like she like read that book. And I think there's a like it's based off of her life. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. There's like a documentary sort of like on her, on like how she started everything. That was really cool to watch. So Girl Boss, I would
I'll
read
have to
that,
look that up.
especially if you're I mean if you're a woman or not, it doesn't matter. I think it's you can learn from anyone.
Totally.
Girl Boss is a really good book.
Totally.
Good.
Totally. Someone just asked what was the nutritionist author's name again? Kimberly Snyder.
Cheers.
She's a friend of mine from Los
Oh yes.
Angeles, and she's really great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we have to go. We're going to run out of time, but I could talk to you for hours. As soon as we reopen and things start getting a little bit more normalized, we'll have to have lunch and have like a deep dive.
I would love that.
But
I
I
would I
adore
would really love
you.
that. And I
Um,
adore you. This was amazing.
this was so much fun. Thank you everybody for who joined us. Melaskin Studio is Lakeisha's handle on Instagram. Follow her if you don't.
Follow me.
And I'll see you very soon.
Yes, I'll see you soon. Have an amazing day.
You too. Bye.
Bye.